if you're going to a mutual party or you're going to a close friend to vent about your frustrations or your unhappiness or your stance
To
about
confide in a
to
friend.
confide in a
Yeah,
friend about your partner,
right.
that
That's different.
that I feel like that's okay, right? But if your sole goal is to go out and to just badmouth your partner
Yeah, and be
and
negative.
just be negative about them
Yeah,
to try to paint them in a bad light
right.
to receive some type of sympathy
Or validation
or
of your
validation of your
feelings.
feelings, then no,
Yeah,
you're wrong. Because
right.
I feel like all in-house struggles need to be dealt with in-house. And when you include outside sources into your business, you allow in outside opinions. And a lot of times those opinions may not be the opinions that you want.
Right.
But whether you want them or not, you're welcoming those opinions into your
Your relationship.
relationship.
Right. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Life After I Do podcast. I'm your host, Nisha G, and I am back with my co host, my
Your husband.
husband.
Just husband. I'm not
Okay.
husband.
He doesn't like when I call him husband,
I'm
even though
husband.
I have it on a sweater, but I'm here with him.
Molito.
Yes.
Malito.
I feel like there should have been a
Or
clap afterwards, like,
as my daughter says, Momibo.
Momito.
Momito.
She'd be like, Momito.
Momimo.
So happy New Year, everyone.
Merry
By the time you
Christmas.
guys
All that.
hear this, see this, it'll be
All that.
Christmas is past. Happy New Year. We took a little bit of time off to celebrate the holiday
We celebrated, all right.
and to be together. And why are you being weird?
Because we celebrated. No, I was sick like a dog. It wasn't no
I was
celebrate.
like, we didn't celebrate. We literally spent Christmas at the emergency room.
They don't even know that.
Yeah, they do. Because that's how we celebrated.
All you need to know is that your meal ticket is alive.
Me and my 6-year-old in the parking lot at the ER because I didn't want to take her into the hospital, but we didn't want to go home and leave him at the hospital. So her and I sat in the car and we went and got Del Taco French fries because she wanted some Del Taco French fries. And we played games. We played Free Flow, the puzzle on the iPad, and we talked.
Long story short. Yeah, whatever I said. Long story short, Christmas was a MFO.
Yeah, but it was okay because we weren't like together, but we were together. So, and what's more important is that you're feeling better. That's what's most important.
I thought I was going to die.
I don't think you did, but I think that's a little dramatic. And to be honest, we wouldn't have gone to the emergency room. We would have gone to urgent care, but because urgent care was not open, we had to go to the emergency room.
Like,
don't let him sit up here.
This must be exactly what giving birth felt like.
Oh my don't you ever compare a gallstone to giving birth. Yes, it's painful, but it is not that painful. I mean, it's painful, but it ain't birth painful.
I'm giving birth. It hurts.
Anyway,
so I'm giving birth.
How was your break, babe?
It was stressful.
Besides Christmas. Other than that, like, how was your break?
Leading up to Christmas, I was sick. I had the flu.
Yep, he got like a 48-hour flu. I mean, thank God it didn't last like a week or two. Like some people be down and out. He legit was like down for a solid 48 hours.
I'm still mad that I'm the only one that got sick.
Where's some wood at? I need to knock on some wood.
Because I'm normally the last person to get sick. But I was the only person, so it had to be from work, whatever. So I had the flu.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
And thank God again, it didn't last long.
It would last about 3 days. And then Christmas Day, my gallbladder attacked me.
Yep.
For the first time ever. I said, if this would approaching 40 feel like, I said, take me out now, Jesus.
Bye. Goodbye.
This is it.
It's not that deep. It's really not that deep.
I can finally correlate the feeling she had when she was giving birth. I said, this is painful. The pressure.
I wish you'd stop saying that.
It was just like you just tried to give birth. It's just the pain was up higher than it wasn't in my hoo-ha because I don't have a hoo-ha.
You don't know what contractions feel like.
I do now.
All of them you don't feel all the contractions in your hoo-ha.
This ain't about you.
Oh my Lord.
So yeah, it was a rough couple of weeks off for me. I didn't work much because obviously I was sick as a dog. So I wasn't very festive this year. I had to muster through watching my daughter open her Christmas gifts while I felt like crap the whole time. But we made it through,
We did
and
make it through,
and
and
then
she had a really great
tomorrow. Oh,
Christmas.
well, not tomorrow. Well, as you guys are listening to this, my wife has now turned another year older, and her expiration date is closing in on her.
Rapidly approaching. Wait a minute. Okay, so really quick before we get back onto that. So we're in the kitchen, right? And he comes downstairs and he gives me a hug and gives me a kiss and stuff. And we're like staring passionately into each other's eyes and having
I
a
don't remember
total
this.
moment. Don't cap.
Was this
And
today?
we're having a moment. And then remember when I let my arms down and you grabbed me by my arm and my shoulder popped?
Oh yeah. Time to trade her in,
My
fellas.
shoulder popped. And it was super quiet because we were like literally having a moment in the kitchen. And so my shoulder pops,
Time to
and we
trade her
both
in.
look at each other. He was like, "Was that your elbow?" And I was like, "No, it was my shoulder." And he's like, "Oh, hell no."
Time to trade her in. If your bones
I
popping.
was
If your
popping.
bones are popping in this soft life I'm providing you, I don't know.
Goodbye.
It
Goodbye.
can't get no
I
softer than
think
this.
they probably popping because I really haven't been like lifting weights and stuff like I was.
They're popping because they're not lubricated.
That's what I'm saying, because remember I was like for a period of time, like back in what was it? Well, I guess it's last year now, but like the first half of last year, I was doing really well. I was really proud of myself. I was meeting with my trainer every week. I was doing my strength training. I was doing my cardio. My eating was like pretty good. And then like when I get off, I get all the way off.
Well, what
Like,
happened was I broke my ankle and she used that as an excuse to be
well,
off.
well, I mean, it was an excuse. You couldn't
I
you
couldn't do
couldn't go up and
anything.
downstairs. So
I couldn't do anything, but you could easily
I do
have just
everything.
could easily just
And you it wasn't just
left
your
me there.
ankle, sir. He had a broken ankle. He had
Crack
a
ribs.
cracked ribs. He had an entire side left bruised side. Like he acts like it was just his ankle.
I
He was in
was
a cast.
I was in pretty bad condition.
Okay, so
And I
anyway,
would do it again in a heartbeat.
we're not going to talk about that because the people don't need to hear us argue right now.
But
Um,
that's what
yeah, but we don't.
that is what our platform is for.
But I don't want to
We're
argue
a
about that
married
topic
couple
right now. And in case you're
sharing
wondering what
our
the topic
experience.
is about, he got those injuries from being on a motorcycle.
Do it again
Okay,
in a
and
heartbeat.
it's been a contention in the of a topic in our marriage since that has happened. And you know, maybe we'll get into that another episode. But I'm not talking about that right now
Another
because it's a
day
sticky
is
situation. So,
gone.
anywho, yes.
I'm
So for me,
so
Christmas was great.
Let me just say,
Phoenix.
hold on, before you go. I will also say, in these last 2 weeks, I've still been obsessed with my wife. I've been, I've been on her. You see how she looking this purple? She knows my color. She trying to
It
get
is
some.
his favorite
She
color.
trying to get some,
It is his favorite color. But anywho, I had a great, and you know, like I wouldn't say great, but it was a good Christmas.
Oh,
We
what you get
stuck.
for Christmas?
I'm happy. One thing that made me happy about Christmas is that we stuck to our guns
About what?
about not overspending for Christmas gifts for
What?
her for her this year. Okay. No, what I mean by that is we didn't do overboard with buying her a ton of things. The
Hmm.
things that we did buy her were, you know, still like two of the items were still big purchases as far as like dollar amounts. But as far as overdoing it, like trying to make sure there is just tons of boxes and stuff under the tree, I'm
Hmm.
happy that we stuck to our guns and didn't do that, even though like the week before Christmas, we still talked about like the saying that we always do once we wrap stuff and see how much stuff she has. We always say, "Do you think she has enough?"
All the time.
All the time. And like when he walked into the kitchen like a few days before Christmas, and he was like, "I don't feel like we got her enough stuff. You think she has enough stuff?" And I'm like, first of all, that's not the point that we're trying to convey to her. And for two, we are sticking to our guns this year. She does not need like an obscene amount of things,
Well,
right?
let's
But
be
she
honest.
got the things that she asked for.
And the things she asked for
She got the
were
things,
expensive. They were
yes, but she
what
got the
did she?
things that she asked for. So and I think that you know, her getting the things that she asked for and then us just like sprinkling in some like smaller toys,
Hmm.
she was perfectly content.
Yeah.
Like she was grateful, she was excited. She was like, "Oh my gosh, like I got everything." She was like, "Mom, I got my springboard. Oh my gosh, I got my mats." Like she was really excited, and then the little toys that we supplemented with, the toys that we got to supplement, she really enjoyed those too. Like
Hmm.
she really did, and she loved it. So I
Hmm.
mean, can't ask for anything better, right?
Hmm.
Um, so yeah. Other than that, Christmas is great. New Year's was good. My sister came down. She made us some gumbo. That was really
Trash.
good. He ate like 19 bowls.
I hadn't eaten all day. I was
Don't
starving.
let him cap you guys.
Trash.
Don't let him cap you guys.
Trash.
That's how he remember the other episodes I told you. This is how he is.
Trash.
If it's the opposite of what the good is, that means he liked it, okay? If he talks crap about you, it's because he likes you. It's like old school little boy on the playground. If he beats you up, it's because he likes you. If he talks shit about you, it's
First of all,
because
I
he
don't beat
likes
up
you.
nobody, and
I
don't be
said
putting
little
that on
kid
me.
on the playground.
Don't be putting that on me.
Anywho,
Just what we got today?
so
Because you about to get beat up.
I just hope everybody enjoyed their
Because
Christmas
the way
and
you look, I'm about to beat the up,
everybody had a great new
up.
year. So happy 2024. I
Happy Mamba
pray
year.
I pray that all of the things and goals that you have set for yourself this year, that you stay consistent and disciplined and reach those goals. And if it's to work on yourself, everyone usually has a new year, new me type of plan. I wish you all the
So
best.
what's your plan for New Year? Real quick to interject. What's your plan for New Year?
My plan for the new year is to not get into my own head, like not to talk myself out of things.
Okay, that's good.
I want to not talk myself out of things. And I also, I also want to, how do I word it? Not necessarily be an emotional dumpster
Mm,
for other people. Like I want, I like to be a supportive friend. I like to be the friend that you can call and lean on and talk to and everything like that. But what I've noticed is that sometimes when you make yourself available to people in that capacity, like a lot of the time, and you don't get that in return, then it's like you're being their emotional dumpster.
mhm,
Do you know what I mean? Like you can call me with all of the things that you need to dump, all of the negative things, all the hurts, the sorrows, and things, and you dump it on me.
mhm,
But if I need to have a moment for myself to call you, to talk to you, or to like emotionally dump on you, those same people are not there for me in the
mm,
capacity that I know I can be for them. People are always busy or I don't have time to talk. Like, so my thing is not necessarily setting a boundary, but just being more mindful of the relationships that I have.
okay.
I'll say that.
Okay.
Being more mindful of the relationships that I have. What's your plan for 2024?
Uh, I just in 2024, I'm just not holding my tongue.
I mean, I don't see how that's a plan because
No,
you kind of do
that's
that.
the problem. I've been holding back. I'm finna release the dragon,
Okay,
and
but
my sister.
that doesn't sound like you've been holding back. That sounds like you're going to use that as an excuse to be an even bigger butthole.
I'm not being a butthole. I'm saying if you ask me the truth, if you ask me my opinion about something, I'm gonna give you the full opinion, whether you like it or not.
How do you feel about wedge shoes?
I hate them. They're terrible. Whoever invented them needs to disappear. Their whole line. It's what's the point? You already have a heel. What's the point of a wedge? It
Because you
looks
never wore a pair of heels for a long period at a time.
a wedge. The wedges they look terrible.
Not all of them.
They're like crusty sandcastles.
That doesn't even make sense, Maurice. Crusty
Yeah,
sandcastles.
yeah, they're like crusty sandcastles. They're just ugly. I don't like them.
Okay, let's get into the topic today.
Like
Um,
what do you want me to tell you? I don't like them.
okay,
That's all I
that's
can say.
fine. Okay, so today's topic is going to be about bashing or bad talking your spouse to friends and
You
family.
ain't bout shit. You ain't gonna be shit. You never was shit.
How many times have you
You
been
ain't
with
bout shit.
your friends
You ain't gonna be shit.
and would you cut it out?
You
So silly. I don't know what's wrong with him this evening. I'm sorry. It's gonna be a long episode. Um, yes, but bashing or bad mouthing your partner,
um,
aka throwing them under the bus, aka violating their
well,
privacy.
it's funny because I feel
Um,
like not to interrupt you, even though I'm
but you
interrupting you.
just did.
I feel like you throw me on the bus all the time. You blame me for everything. Like,
Okay. Anywho, bashing your partner to your friends.
okay,
Okay. Gossiping about your partner
mhm,
to your friends.
okay.
Do you think that's something that is healthy or conducive to your relationship? Now, I don't mean before you start, because I don't mean um like going to a neutral party that is a friend and seeking advice or being able to confide in them. That's different.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking
Cause I was about to
about
say so. That's the first thing
I'm
I
the
was gonna say.
exactly.
Cause hold
That's
on, let me
why
let me answer your question.
wait, no, but you cut me
I told
off.
you in 2024 I'm not tolerating this.
Goodbye. But so I just want you to have the better understanding
The
of
question.
the question.
Okay, go
Okay?
ahead.
So what I'm saying
Go ahead.
is do you think that is harmful to the relationship or even the friendship?
To like the friendship of the person you're talking to.
Yeah,
Okay, here's the thing. I feel like when you're bad mouthing
your
like your
partner?
partner, like if your partner's in the room and you're bad mouthing,
Well, that's just
um
disrespectful.
I feel like one, it's disrespectful. Two, I think it's a hindrance of the relationship because your problems should be your problems. You should fix those problems in house. But like you preferenced before you finished asking the question, I also believe that it is okay if you're going to a mutual party or you're going to a close friend to vent about your frustrations or your unhappiness or your stance
To
about
confide in a
to
friend.
confide in a
Yeah,
friend about your partner.
right.
That
That's different.
that I feel like that's okay, right? But if your sole goal is to go out and to just badmouth your partner
Yeah, and be
and
negative.
just be negative about them
Yeah,
to try to paint them in a bad light
right.
to receive some type of sympathy
Or validation
or
of your
validation of your
feelings.
feelings, then no,
Yeah,
you're wrong. Because
right,
I feel like all in-house struggles need to be dealt with in-house. And when you include outside sources into your business, you allow in outside opinions. And a lot of times those opinions may not be the opinions that you want.
right.
But whether you want them or not, you're welcoming those opinions into your
Your relationship,
relationship.
right.
Yes.
So I want you to play the clip. Play the clip and
Okay.
then we'll
Oh, you
talk about it.
demanding today.
I'm not.
Here we go.
Mistake number two, and this is a huge one that women don't even recognize. They gossip about their partner to other people, whether good gossip or bad gossip. Talking about your partner to people outside of the relationship destroys the sacred energy within the relationship. It is perfectly okay to have that one person, even two neutral parties with whom you discuss your difficulties in order to get support, advice, or guidance. But they should be your difficulties, not your partner's bad habits, insecurities, failings, and shortcomings. That is straight up gossip. Those are the things you need to pray about. Gossiping about your partner is one huge mistake women make because they do not realize that what destroys a relationship comes from within the relationship, not from the outside. Gossip is a betrayal of trust and a violation of confidence. My sister women, don't do it. It is a huge mistake that will destroy your relationship. Mistake number two, and this is
So I think one of the things that stuck out for me from that clip was when she mentioned it's a betrayal of trust.
Mm.
Do you agree with that?
I think anytime you divulge um the intricacies of your relationship to an outside party is a form of breach of trust because a lot of times things that are said or done within the boundaries of the relationship is meant for the other person. It's not meant to be a public thing. So if I tell you something in confidence or if I do something and I show you something in confidence, it's I'm showing that to you. So for then for you to go relay that outside of this to someone else to reflect on what I have done, that is somewhat a breach of trust.
Yeah, I totally agree. Especially, I mean, in some circumstances, you then have that friend come back and bring your business back to
Right.
you.
Because like if I'm vulnerable to you, this like that's one way. Like that's another way like men shut down. If I'm vulnerable to you and I come and I'm being vulnerable with you and I tell you something that I may be insecure about or I have a hard time processing, and you go and relay that to a friend, and
Hmm.
now that gets back to me
From the friend.
from the friend, that completely breaks my trust.
Of
And
course.
now I'll never be in that headspace again to actually tell you what I'm feeling or what I mean or how I feel in certain instances because now I feel as if I cannot trust you
Right.
because you've betrayed my trust and you've relayed my personal feelings that were meant for you to
Right.
an outside party.
And not only that, I think the part that sometimes people miss, especially when you're divulging this type of information to like friends, is it also it invites them to have an opinion, right? So it's like if you come to me and you're like telling me all this stuff, like he does this, he does that, he ain't shit, he don't do this, I can't depend on him, blah 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 blah. And then the second that I have an opinion about it, then part of it is now you being defensive
Mm.
because now you start to realize that you have painted a picture of your husband to me in my head,
Mhm.
right? And me trying to be a supportive friend, trying to look at it from your perspective or even look at it objectively when I say something that you don't agree with about the information you just told me about your husband, now you want to backpedal a little bit.
Right. Let me say this because I've had personal instances where I've had friends, confide in me or talk to me to get my opinion about things that are
Something.
going on, right?
Hmm.
And I've had it to where I've literally listened to my friend and be like, "No, you tripping. Like
Right.
you're in the wrong. You're
Right.
in the wrong here."
Right.
And that didn't necessarily go well. And so I had him say, "Well, sometimes I just need someone to talk to." I said, "Okay, well, if you need someone to talk to,
Didn't
you
preface that.
then tell me that. But if
Yeah.
you want my honest opinion, I'm not going to sit here and just agree with what you're doing
Right.
when I don't agree with what you're doing just because you're my friend." So that's also one way, that it may not go the way you wanted to go. And the other thing is that I've also been in rooms where you have spouses going at it, and that's a really
It's
uncomfortable
super uncomfortable.
comfortable situation.
Super
Like why?
uncomfortable.
Like I don't.
I don't
I
want
don't.
to be inside your
I don't
argument.
want to be in your argument. I'm not volunteering my ears for
Mhm.
your business. You're
Mhm.
putting it out there, and now you're looking at me to respond to what you guys are going through. And it's like this is
Like,
it's,
but basically,
but
it's
it's
like
not
pick a
my
side.
but it's not my business. I don't have a
Right.
side.
Right. But to go back what you talk about giving the opinion, I think that like how she said in the clip, it's okay to have one, maybe even two people that are neutral.
Hmm.
That's the thing, you know? It's like, of course, we're friends, and you want to come to me because I'm your friend. I'm not necessarily like your husband's friend or both of y'all, but me and you are a friend, right?
Hmm.
But are you coming to me because you know that I'm also another married woman and you want my perspective about it or you want my opinion on it?
Hmm.
Or are you coming to me for me to just validate how you think you're right?
Hmm.
And you want me to just be like, girl, you know what? You're right. Like you need to,
Right.
give him give him none of
I
the breaks.
I think a lot of times the friends I do have confide in me or come to me for opinions because they realize that I am. I guess when it comes to relationship and marriage and stuff, I am like the moral high ground. Like I have a
Like
very
neutral.
I'm neutral. I give both sides, but at the same time of that, as a husband, I hold myself to a higher standard. Like I'm not out here wilding, and my friends know that I'm not out here wilding. That I take my marriage very seriously.
So they can
Right.
confide, they
Right.
can rely
So
on the advice that you're
right.
gonna give
Right.
them.
Because like I've always said, like I said before, and I've always said, it's like I make it a point whenever I'm in a room to let people know, oh, my wife does this, or I'm married.
Yeah.
Like you gonna know I'm married.
Yeah.
Like when you meet me, I'm gonna tell you. Don't bring no shit over
I
here.
hope that I hope that never
I
changes,
don't
but
know.
we'll see how the
I
next
mean,
50 years go.
with that shoulder popping, it might. 'Cause I might have to get a replacement. My child needs somebody to take care of her because her mama is struggling.
This is why you never say never, okay? It is death till you do part, but I mean, never say never,
The
guys.
vow saying sickness and
And
in
in
health.
health, and I had a popping
It didn't
shoulder.
say nothing about no popping shoulder though. It just said sickness and in health.
Sickness and in
It
health.
didn't say nothing about no popping shoulder.
Bye. So yeah, so I think that's really good. And I do think that you need to be more neutral. And I myself am the same way. I do try to see it from both sides because I think we all, like, at the basis, we all know and understand that it can never just be one
Right.
person's fault.
And let me
Like even if even if there has been something as egregious as infidelity,
Right,
right?
right.
The person who has been cheated on will usually be the person that I didn't do anything like to
Knowing damn
deserve
what they
this.
did.
But I'm not saying that it's totally their fault, because you also have an accountability to your own actions,
Right.
right? The
Hold
person
on,
who
say that
cheated,
again.
you have an accountability to your own actions
One more time.
regardless.
One more time for the
You
people.
have an accountability to your actions and your person
Oh, now you
regardless
preaching.
regardless
Now you're preaching.
of what your
And
partner,
accountability goes what way?
both.
Okay, now
It
you
goes
okay
both.
now.
So if
Where the
you
offering at?
so shut up. So, I've had that conversation too. It's like, you're the one who had went out and had an affair. You're the one, nobody told you to go out and sleep with such and such and such and such. Okay, I get that. And you're totally in the right
Mhm.
with that. However, when it comes to the dynamics of the relationship,
Mhm.
you just take a step back and always say, how have I contributed to this?
Right.
Just say, how have I contributed?
But
Don't put the blame on
okay.
yourself, but try to find where you can hold yourself accountable to any type of disagreement or any type of disconnect that you're having within your marriage.
Right.
You have to look at yourself too. It's not just because, okay, he went out and did this because he wasn't getting sex, or he went out and did this because, he feels I'm just out here
I
ignoring
will
him or whatever. It goes both ways.
right. And I will also say that, like you said, I try to look at it from both angles, right? From both sides,
Right.
right? But, being the man, I better understand and better correlate to the man's feelings because I can see their point of view a lot easier than I can the woman's point
Of
of view,
course, you're a
right?
man.
So I know in instances I was like, well, you know what? I understand why you feel that way. But at the end of the day, I always say this is a conversation that needs to be had between you and your partner. And honestly, if no one's willing to work on it or willing to better the situation, then moves need to be made because you never wanted to be in a situation. My mentality is all I never want to get to a situation to where I feel like I have to cheat to have peace,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, but how
So
would that even just think about what you just said. How would cheating on your spouse, like, I feel like we're getting a little off topic, but we'll circle back. How does
you want me to
cheating
answer it?
on your spouse
You know.
create peace? And hold on, just really
Let me.
quick. No, let me I gotta ride with this.
Okay, right with it.
And I say this because we're going to do an episode on this too. The whole concept of men needing peace and what peace means to men. In my opinion, okay, and this is my opinion, like assholes, everyone has one. In my
Some
opinion,
got too.
I think a lot of this peace that men are searching for, or they say that they want, is not something that's so external that has to do with the level of peace that your woman brings to you, but what about the level of peace that you have within
Let me
yourself?
just say this. Let me just say this. When men talk about peace, it's more about how the external factors are hindering and contribute
Impacting?
and impacting the
Hmm.
internal factors, right? And it's I can only control so much of my internal because my internal is a reflection of my external, right? But as my woman, when I say bring me peace, I want you to navigate and negotiate the external things that shouldn't necessarily be awarded my attention, right? So some things by peace, peace means a multiple of things,
Right. And
right?
I think it's very
Hold
subjective.
on, right? But mainly what it means is that you are now taking care of things or you're eliminating worries from me because as a man we're always worrying, right? We're always thinking about is everyone happy? Is everyone situated? Does everyone have what they need, right? So part of being the peace, like I'm gonna just talk about us for instance, right? Part of you being my peace is that I know when I wake up in the morning and I walk out of here to go to work, I'm not worried about my daughter, right?
Hmm.
I know that her mama got her. I ain't got to worry about it. I know we got food. I know I've done my part by putting things in place. There's food in the house. There's money in the account. There's gas in your car, right? I've given you everything you needed to win the day, right?
Hmm.
And you give me peace by providing me the fact that when I come home, not only has my house been taken care of and tended to, my daughter has been taken care and tended to, and the things that I didn't have time to accomplish because I was working and preoccupied, you also took care of that, right?
Mhm.
That's part of the piece, right? Another part of the piece is you're not bringing unnecessary worry to me that is not on the level which I should need to be consumed with it at the moment, right? A lot of times being a woman providing peace is you taking care of the things that shouldn't even reach my desk, right?
Mhm.
It's think of it as a business, right? If you're the owner and I'm the manager, right? If every time there's a problem I'm coming to you, well, you're gonna look at me like, well, what the hell did I hire you for? Because
Yeah.
now I'm doing my job and your job.
Yeah.
So that's the correlation to the marriage. As the head of the house, if you're bringing me every problem, right?
Mhm.
And now I'm like, okay, well, I got to worry about everything financial. I got to make sure everything's in place. I got to make sure everybody's safe. Now I got to put out these fires too. Well, shit. What am I? Do you want me? What else do you want me to take care of?
I
That's
want you to be
also,
superhero.
but that's also another dynamic of the piece. Like you said, we'll have another episode about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like we could really like delve deep into that. But anywho, circling back to what we were talking about.
But again, if I'm sitting here talking about you to somebody else, you not being my piece.
Oh my
That's
lord.
how we're gonna circle back into this,
Any
right?
okay.
But like I was saying, like,
Mhm.
so it's I think sometimes as not even as I'm not gonna say as men, as sometimes as people, we hold things in and we tolerate so much because of the person we love
Right.
that it gets to a point to where now we just have to unload on somebody.
Yeah.
Like it gets
But
to
you
the
shouldn't let it pile
r-
up to that point.
you shouldn't, right? You shouldn't, but it gets to the point to where it's like, if I don't get this off my
I'm
chest,
gonna explode.
I'm a because I'm at this point, I'm about to be out of character.
Yeah.
I'm about to not be myself.
Yeah.
So I have to talk to somebody, right? And I think as a friend, right, as a good friend, you learn to distinguish between just like with being a good partner. Is this a situation where my partner wants me to respond?
Right. Or just
Or,
listen.
or my friend wants me to
Right.
respond, or is this a situation
Right.
to where my friend just wants me, my friend or wife or whatever or spouse,
They just need the physical
they just
support.
need me to listen so they
Yeah.
can just get it off
Off
their
their
chest,
chest.
right?
Right.
Because a lot of times people process things by getting things off their chest,
They by
right?
talking through it. Talk
Right,
like talk therapy.
right. So even I would say even sometimes when you're confiding in someone and you're maybe be talking negative about your spouse, it's things that you are saying, because I personally feel sometimes like you say things to a friend or a confidant that may be negative about your spouse because you would never say those things directly to your spouse, or
Right.
you haven't figured out a way to word those things so that your spouse isn't hurt by what you said.
And so that
Because
you can convey
right,
how you
right,
feel.
because a lot of navigating. A lot of times navigating things in difficult conversations with your spouse, it's about how you say the things so that what you're saying can be heard,
Right.
because we as people, if you're not mature enough, your first thing you're going to
Is
do
to
is
be
is going
defensive.
to be defensive.
Yep.
And once you're defensive, you're not going to hear what's being
At all.
said. So a lot of times I have to express my frustration, right? Like I may be upset with you, right? I have to call my brother or call one of my friends and
And
get
just
out
get it
and
out
get my frustration
and
out,
then organize the
right?
thought.
Right. So that way when I come back to you, I can come back
Mhm.
to you with a logical statement so we can
Uh-huh.
have an actual conversation
Conversation.
and be adults. Because I know if I step to you on the rah-rah,
Mhm.
I'm gonna get the raw back. And
Right.
then
Definitely.
now we're not having a conversation.
We're just fighting.
Now we're fighting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's the difference between. Now that's not to say that voices won't be elevated and things won't get tense, because we're having a conversation about two sides that are passionate about their stance,
Yeah.
right? So emotions are going to flare, but getting that frustration out allows you to have a reasonable conversation to where you can still be emotional and get your point across, but not cross the line of disrespect,
Right.
right? Because you have to get those negative feelings out of yourself and out of the conversation so that you can move forward.
Right. But I think the part that I keep taking from it is the people that you're venting to, you have to be very choosy about the people that you're venting to, right?
Mhm.
Very choosy. If you have one person, or like she said, maybe even two, chances are this is a person who knows both you and your spouse, right? And
Mhm.
they can distinguish for themselves you being frustrated and having to get it off your chest, or just vent a little bit so that you can regroup, reorganize, and then go back and have a conversation with your spouse. But I'm talking about the conversations that are happening where you are just downright dogging your partner and you are being negative about your partner and you're just talking shit about your partner to your friends so
Mhm.
that your friends can also see your partner in that light,
Mhm.
right? Like if you're going to your friends and you're like, "Oh, he ain't shit. He don't do shit for me. He's this, he's that. All he wants to do is just hang with his friends. All he wants to do is play video games. He ain't worked in 6 months. He don't make no money. We got money problems. The kids don't even like that type of stuff." That is
I'm just
painting him in a very bad picture.
can
But
I say this real quick?
no, because I have to keep my
I'm
train
sorry.
of
I'm
thought,
sorry.
please.
Because
So
you triggered someone when you said
I
that. I'm
know.
sorry. Go ahead.
So, but that goes back to the clip when she was talking about gossiping.
Mm.
That is literally gossiping, right? So it's like next time I see your husband, now I have
I'm
this
thinking all negative things.
right. I'm thinking all negative things. Like in my mind, if he says something that rubs me the wrong way, in my mind, I'm like, you ain't nothing but a piece of shit anyway. Like your wife already
Oh
gave
my
me the
god.
the D on you.
I've been in that
You are
situation so many
you're a
times.
piece of trash, sir. So your opinion is irrelevant.
It is so uncomfortable knowing something about someone and they don't know you know.
And they don't know you. Oh my gosh. And it's so
It is
uncomfortable.
so
It is
uncomfortable.
so
Right?
uncomfortable,
Right?
especially intimate details.
Right? And I was gonna say this. If going back to what you said, like I would be like, I would look at her like, well, why are you even with him?
Okay. 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 Let me
So you're choosing to put yourself in this situation by your choice.
let me touch on that. When I get or have a conversation with someone who has dogged their partner so bad, I'm 9.8 times out of 10. I am that friend that will never even talk about the D word. I'm the divorce. I'm not gonna encourage you to
I don't
leave
say
your
dick.
husband. Stop it. I'm not gonna encourage you to leave your husband. I'm not gonna encourage you to walk away from your marriage. I'm not gonna encourage that. I'm gonna encourage you trying to work it out, maybe to see therapists. Like maybe you guys need time alone. Like I'm usually that friend, that person, right? Because the last thing you're gonna do is take my advice about leaving your partner or leaving your husband or your wife, and
Mhm.
then something don't work out, and then you come back and you be like, but where y'all was at when y'all was telling me to leave him? But anywho, what I was saying was, is I when I have those type of conversations, and then a friend will say, I just want to divorce him. I'm done. I want to divorce him. Okay. So when we doing that? You brought it up, but don't sit here and trash talk your partner.
And never move
Threaten
forward.
You're threatening your partner with a divorce to your friend, but then you're not walking the walk.
And then not only that, it's like as the friend in that situation, now like I said before, and now I'm uncomfortable I'm uneasy every time I'm in a situation where you both are in the same room,
Right.
right? Because I always say at the end of the day, I'm your friend, right?
Right.
They may be your spouse, but I'm your friend,
Right.
right? So I'm always going to be in my friend's corner,
Right.
you know, regardless
Because I
whether
got your back.
regardless whether I agree with what you're doing or
Because
not.
I got your back.
I'm in your
You're my
corner,
friend.
right? Now, I will never badmouth my friend, to their spouse, but I'll put them aside, hey, like, hey, dog, like, this ain't right. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But that's a one-on-one conversation I'm having. I'm not going to put you on blast in any situation to where it would be, relayed to another person.
Right.
But I agree with you. If you're going to constantly come to me and tell me how things are, but you're not doing anything to change it, at some point I get to the point to where you
Now I'm
come.
questioning you.
Not only am I questioning you, is now when you start to complain about something, I'm just going to turn you out
Right. Because
because
at this point you know,
nothing's
have
going to
you
change.
met people who are addicted to drama and
Yeah,
they don't realize that they are?
yeah.
Or people who, if they don't have something that's like going on that's wrong in their life, they don't know how to like navigate. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? It's almost like people who always constantly feel like they have to put out fires. Like if I'm not worried about something, I'm not going about life right.
mhm,
There should be something I'm worried about. Like whether it's being unhappy in my job, being unhappy in my relationship, like something has to be going on with them, and it's the drama aspect that they're attracted to. And most people don't even realize that they're like addicted to drama, or they have some level of attraction to the drama that kind of perpetuates this whole story, right?
mhm.
And I start recognizing like, oh, it's the drama. Like you like having a little bit of drama. Not to say that you like
I
the
don't.
status that your relationship's in if you're not
Mhm.
having a relationship, but on some form, it's like to have something to complain about gives you power
I,
because then it somehow you translate it back into all the things that he or she is not doing right. Those are the areas in which you feel like you're doing the best.
I also feel like sometimes, like when you've been in it for so long, it becomes part of your identity.
Identity. It
Right,
does.
right.
That's
Like
and I think that's where the addiction comes from.
you're so used to complaining about said partner
It's
that
a part
now
of
it's
you.
like it's a part of your character,
And yeah,
right? Like now, like you'll
it's a
have
part of the
like
routine.
right, like you're gonna have good days, but the second something slips up, you
Yep.
can't wait to tell somebody else about what she
Yep.
now what is she now she's back on this or he's back
She
on
back
that.
on the
You know
bullshit.
what I'm saying? Like
hmm
that becomes part of it. And I also to go also to that, I also feel like some people don't. I feel like some people just don't know how to be happy, right? I feel like some people need the chaos
To feel
to
normal.
feel normal, right?
Yes, that is
And then
that is a real thing.
and when things are kind of at ease, because I'm guilty of this,
Yeah,
right?
that's how I know it's a real thing.
I'm guilty of this. When I feel like things are too at ease and things are going too smooth,
Like, what did I miss?
right? I'm always, to quote one of my favorite shows, How I Met Your Mother, I'm always like, "Where's the poop?
Yeah,
Where's the poop?
yeah.
Something about to happen.
Like, cause this is done, this is
Where's the
taken
poop?
care
Right,
of.
right,
Yeah, like
right.
something's
Some
not
it's
right.
going too smooth.
Uh-huh.
Or like when I finish paying the bills and we got
And
extra money.
you be like, wait a minute.
Hold on. Where the poop? Where's the poop? Something wrong.
Look, I
Something's
didn't put
wrong.
money in the savings
Right,
and there's still
right,
extra
right.
money.
Something wrong. I'm missing something, right? And so it I can understand that because as someone who is so used to the other foot always dropping
You're expecting
at the
it.
most inconvenient time,
Yeah.
I'm always looking for the other foot to drop.
But that's also an energy, right? So
Mm.
I've always been a firm believer your thoughts become reality, as they say. Like I'm sure you've heard that before, right? You bring about
Oh, I
what
thought
you
about you for a long time. I got
listen,
you.
you bring
Yeah.
about what you think about,
Mhm.
right? So when you're constantly in that state of the other shoe is going to drop, you're expecting that, which means you're also giving out that energy. That energy is bound to come back to you.
Right.
But the thing is when the energy comes back to you,
It's
it
tenfold.
reconfirms what you
Right.
already said. So in your mind, you're not thinking that's the energy you put out. You're
Mhm.
thinking, I knew I was right.
I will also
I knew I was right. That's because that's the energy you put out. So you're bound to get that energy
I
back.
will also say this. Every time I go out here with the attitude of I'm going to be positive, I'm going to try to see the better side of things, that always seemed to be the time where everything hits me at once. And it always strikes me back or always remembers I forgot who said it. But it's like when you ask God for something or you ask, the universe, whatever it is, whatever you believe in, right? It's most times it's presented to you in a test, right? So
Mhm.
if I'm saying, no, just help me be more positive, right? Instead of making me positive on the
He's not just
inside,
gonna say, "Here, positivity,
he's
create
gonna get
scenarios."
create
Yes,
scenarios in which I have to
yes,
force myself to be
to be
positive, right?
positive.
And it's just like
You have to work that as a
I'm
muscle.
gonna say this, and this is completely off topic. But I'm gonna say this. Like a couple of months ago, I said, I'm not too spiritual, but I believe in God. But I was like, God, just give me more patience to deal with my child. I said, I don't know what it is, but my child hits these nerves so quick,
Ooh,
so quick.
I said ooh because I'm reading the parenting map, and
Yeah,
that's I'm reading it and I listened to it on a podcast,
mm,
and that's a part where she talks about when you say your kid hit a nerve,
yeah,
but it's not them hitting a nerve. What you need to ask yourself is what is it within you?
right. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the case may be,
Mm-hmm.
right? I can be on 3, and my child can get me to 10 in a heartbeat, right? And I said, I just want more patience with her, right? And in my mind,
You thought you were gonna say, my son,
right.
patience.
So in my mind, I thought maybe, my child may behave a little better, which that was not the case,
She's a child.
you know. But I do feel like I've been better at it,
Yeah.
and I've been trying to change like certain dynamics of my parenting. But especially these last couple of weeks, Jesus, you ain't gotta test me no more.
But you gotta
You
work that
you gotta
like
work the
that
tolerance up.
yeah,
You
you have
got
to work
right,
out the patience.
right.
And I just had a conversation with a friend today where she called me and she's like been having a really, really tough time, both in her marriage, financially. Her and her husband he lives in a different state. Okay. And when I talked to her today, she was like, I don't know what's going on, sis. She was like, I just feel like everything is crumbling down around me. She was like, I feel like God is just punishing me and I don't know why he's punishing me. I feel like I'm a good person. I help people. I do this, I do that. And I simply said to her, I said, you know what? Sometimes when you ask for like strength or
Mm.
things like that, it doesn't come in the form where God is just going to be like, okay,
It's a
here, child,
test.
I give you strength. He gives you certain obstacles that you may have to navigate through life to
Mhm.
help build that muscle of strength
Right.
within you, right? So that whatever does come next, you can be like, you know what? I've been through something like this or worse, and I know how to get through this. Or he can be presented it to you in a way where all you have left is to depend on him.
Right.
That's it. I remember, this is off topic, but I remember one instance when we were going through our rough time,
Which one?
and the first one after college, and I was at my mom's, and
Okay.
I remember distinctively like it was yesterday. I was laying in bed and I was crying and I was just talking about like talking to God, and I was just having this conversation about like I just feel like nothing has like panned out the way I had planned it. Like I had everything planned. Like I was gonna, finish school. This is the job I was gonna have. This is, everything was mapped out. And I remember laying in bed and I had my laptop, and I literally said to myself, I said, all I have left is this laptop. That's what I said to myself. I put the laptop on a TV tray, like the
Mhm.
trays. I put the laptop on the tray because that's how I used to watch my TV and my movies and stuff. And I went to open the laptop and it wouldn't turn on. My laptop was broken. And I had literally just said, I was like, the only thing I have left is this laptop. And I remember when that laptop didn't turn on, and I felt like what I heard God say, now all you have left is me.
Mm.
Like
You preaching today, huh?
you were so like, how I was,
Mhm.
especially like in my 20s. I was very determined. Like there's a certain life I wanted to
Your
live.
picture was in the dictionary
Oh my
a minute ago.
gosh, there was a certain lifestyle I
Goal
wanted to
driven.
live that was so goal driven. I have everything written down. Like I just knew what, like by 22, I remember I had everything. Like by 22, I was going to be doing this, I was going to be doing that, and it's like none of that worked out the way I thought it would, despite my strongest efforts. And in that moment, when that laptop didn't turn on, I literally heard God say, "Now all you have is me." And so now, where
Right.
do we go from here?
And a lot of times, going back, well, this goes to everything. What it is, it's just a change of outlook and a change in mentality.
Yeah, it's perspective,
That that
really.
that's that's really that's
Mhm.
really all it is. And once you realize, like, even when I think about, going back to the topic, bad mouth mirror spouse, right? It's about the perspective of it, right?
Right.
Because like I've said this before, like I've had people complain to me about their spouse, and I'd be like, well, shit, what I got going on ain't bad at
It's
all.
not that bad, right?
Right.
And I'ma
Like
just go ahead and rock with what I got.
I'm gonna just try to fix what I got, and and to just be content that I'm not dealing with that, right?
Uh-huh.
And and then also like when it comes to like my child, sometimes I look at her and I'm like, you know what? She is a child. This is her childhood, right?
Mhm.
And her brain is not seeing things, is not functioning the way I'm functioning, right? My way my brain is functioning.
Mhm.
And I have to understand, I have to realize is that from her perspective, everything is okay, right?
Mhm.
And it's on me to show her and teach her the right and the wrong in things, right? So ultimately, everything within your reality is about how you perceive it, right?
Mhm. Your
So
perception is your
right.
reality.
So if and but also your perception and your reality is also something you can change, right? But that's gonna come from inside. At a certain point, you have to address the problems from within, right? And you have to ask yourself, if I have all these concerns or all these complaints about my spouse, why am I tolerating this? Right. And then
Or what
hold
is
on,
it about you?
right, right. And then as a man, I also have to ask myself, what is it about me as a leader that is allowing and perpetuating this type of behavior, right? What am I not conveying to my spouse to get her to move in the way that I deem best for the family unit, right? Why can she not see my sense of urgency? Why can't she not see my sense of burden, my sense of direction that I need this family to move in, right? So a lot of times as a man in the situation, I feel like sometimes we need to step back and reevaluate how we are actually leading, right? If you are leading in your household, right? So a lot of times it it can be as simple as changing the direction of your leadership because just like with learning, right? Everyone has a different way of learning,
Mhm.
right? Maybe your leadership style is not the most conducive to your to what you got going on.
Mhm.
Maybe you need to try to approach the situation in a different manner in which things can be done and you can that can relieve the stress off you and that can provide you with some level of peace, right? Maybe it's something that you need to change within yourself to portray or be different, right? Because a
Mhm.
lot of times I personally feel like if I want the best out of you, I have to give you the best of me,
Mhm.
right? I can't half-ass this relationship, but then expect you to be 100% great wife, right? I can't come in and say, "Okay, babe, well, you know what? Yeah, I know I said we would do this, but we ain't got money for this. I know I said I would take care of that,
Mhm.
but I did this, right? I have to show up every day, give you 110%, not just financially, right? That's the thing. It don't financial is where it begins. I still have to be a great partner to you emotionally,
Mhm.
physically, right? I have to be emotionally supportive to you, right? I have to give it 110%. I have to hit my P's and Q's on every level and every dynamic in this relationship. And then once I do that, now as the leader, I can expect you to meet me because I'm not just asking you to do something that I'm not doing. So if I'm firing on all cylinders and I'm doing everything and I'm being the example, the perfect example of what I need to be and what I need from you and how I want to lead, now I can now come to you and say, what's the issue?
Mhm.
I'm showing you the blueprint. I'm being the upstanding guy. I'm getting up day in and day out and I'm doing what is necessary, what is required, and more. Not only to better the life, but not only to better our life, but to better this family and to better the dynamic of this family, right? And I'm taking these things off of your plate, but in return, you're not doing what I need you to do in order to keep me in this headspace, right? So that perspective, a lot of times if you change your perspective and be the best person you can be, you know what I'm saying? That will then I think that would
Like
then
taking your accountability.
right, you take your accountability, then that
Mhm.
will then add more validity to your complaints.
Well, not only that, I think when you start taking more accountability and you start looking inward instead of looking outward, the complaints kind of stop because you're focusing on
Right,
yourself. So then, therefore, your partner, without having to hear you complain and nag about it, your partner can just see
right,
the action. And then your partner will say, you know what? He does all this, or he's making an effort to do all this. The least I can do is step my game up and
right,
make sure this happens. But that's because like it's like the old saying, actions speak louder than
right.
words. The more you complain, belittle, get like put down on on your partner or anybody,
Mhm,
it doesn't have the effect that you think it does, where you're like, okay, if I keep telling her she fat, she gonna want to lose weight.
mhm,
That's not it.
right,
That's
right.
not how that's gonna
But
happen.
like
But if you showcase through action, dedication, you're not holding any grudges, you're being encouraged,
right.
like things like that, then your partner can be like, you know what? Let me try to do
Because
something.
because my mentality now is that if I am 100% stand up and I'm doing everything you need that needs to be done plus more, right? To be the perfect husband for you and whatever that looks like for you and you're not reciprocating, I believe I'm saying this for you. I'm not saying all for women. I believe I have the type of woman that would be like, well, shit, I understand why he's doing what he's doing.
Mhm.
Right? I understand why he said what he said. Look what my husband's doing.
Mhm.
I have been dropping the ball.
Mhm.
Right? I believe that I have that wife. Now, I know a lot of people that don't have that wife.
Right.
They be like, "Oh, that's great that he's doing that, but I'm not going to change what I've been doing because
Yeah,
he's
because
accepted it
he's
for
do
so
yeah.
long."
Well, because it's become part of our
Right,
norm.
and that's the
And then
thing.
you complaining about the
Right,
inaction of me also is a part of our
right,
norm. So therefore it doesn't motivate me to want to do anything
and
different.
then that's why I also say
That's where the accountability comes
that's where
from.
accountability comes from, and I also say when you're in a situation like that and you want your marriage to work, you need to change your leadership style.
Well, and I think I learned something a while back, and it was talking. I can't remember. I think who was I listening? I can't remember what I was listening to, but it was basically like the mirror effect, right? The things that you see as negative in people, you're only able to read those or be able to recognize them because on some level it's within you.
Mhm.
You recognize what you see or what subconsciously you try to ignore. So, whatever issue you have within your partner, subconsciously, that's also an issue or a problem within yourself. And that's why when we talk about accountability, even if you feel or think that you have no part to play in why your relationship is the way it is, or why you're sitting there gossiping or bad mouthing your partner, you owe it to your relationship to take some form of accountability
Right.
and look within yourself, because there is also something within you that you're not happy with, you're not satisfied with, you're disappointed with, you're discouraged about, and you're unknowingly projecting that onto your partner
Mm.
and making it just their issue and
Right.
how their issue is impacting your life.
Right.
And that's not how it always is. Granted, could there be some validity to that in some cases? Absolutely. But it doesn't negate the fact that there's always his side, your side, and there's the truth. And each of you owe it to your relationship to take self accountability and self inventory to ensure that whatever it is that you have disassociated with mentally or psychologically, emotionally, whatever traumas you have experienced that you may not even know or knew were there,
Mhm.
but you're able to see them in your partner as something that's negative or something egregious and something you don't like. And that's because you're able to recognize it because on some level it's within
Right.
you.
So you have to ask yourself, what's keeping me here? And then also, what is it in this person that I see in myself?
Right.
But you
That's
have to
it.
be,
You are seeing yourself in
but
that person.
you have to be outside of yourself
And but
to
that's where
perceive that.
that's where maturity and awareness comes from. And most people are not mature enough or aware enough to recognize that the things that they are picking apart about their partner, that they also themselves struggle with. If he is poor, if he's bad at time management, he could very well be bad at time management.
Mhm.
But that also says, okay, well, what is it about you, about that situation, that's drawing that out?
Mhm.
What's being mirrored back at you?
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean?
And just at the end of the day, it's like we say this often and we say it a lot, and it's true. Everything starts from within, right? And I feel like any situation that you're not happy with, you have to look at yourself first, right?
And hold
You
your
have
own
you have
accountability.
to ask yourself, what am I doing to contribute to the situation?
And if I'm not happy, okay, let's sit down and have that conversation.
Right.
Like I'm not. I don't even say happy because you're not going to be, or you weren't even meant to be happy every single day.
Mhm.
But if you are not satisfied with the condition and the state that your relationship is in, it is both of you's responsibility to ensure that you take accountability both individually and then game plan
Mhm.
about how we get out of this. And before you go to your friends and bash your partner
Mhm.
and just gossip about what a shitty partner they are, go to someone that is neutral, that knows the both of you, somebody that you can confide in, somebody who's not going to be just a pleaser to confirm your feelings about your spouse, but give you an overall objective view about the situation or whatever it is you're complaining about. And then you can go back and reorganize. And like you said earlier, then you'll be better equipped to go to your partner
Mhm.
and have a sensible conversation that still may be like a heated disagreement or a heated argument, but at least it can be on a better grounds where you guys
Right.
could try to hear each other.
It's all about coming in with a clear level mind.
Right,
You don't want to come in and start the conversation when you're already on 10,
right,
right? Because now it's going to be harder for you to convey exactly what you mean because now you have too much of feelings and emotions into what you're saying,
right,
right? You're not making the logical statements.
right,
You're allowing you're allowing emotion to navigate the conversation,
right.
and then that's where you have the trip ups.
Yep. That was a good combo, babe. That was really good.
Hey, you preaching today.
Oh my gosh. But it's one of those things I feel like everyone at some point has had some level of that. And
Hmm.
just going back to, just the confines of marriage and the sacredcy of marriage is like, why would you want to go out and create this picture of your spouse, eh, that is just so negative, so ran down? They give people the permission to have an
Right.
opinion
Be-
about your relationship and about your partner, and then the minute they want to say something or have an opinion about it, now
um,
you know what I mean? So just
especially when you are the reflection of me,
right.
right? So if I have nothing but negative things to say about you, right, that means you must have negative things to say about me
Right.
because we are just like you said before, we are mirroring each other,
Hmm.
right? So that's why you need to focus on your mirror and not focus on mine.
Look at you. You're so cute. I just wanted to do this.
Stop.
I love
I'm
you.
married.
Okay, guys. So with that being said, we're just gonna jump right into our 2 cents. Okay. I feel like there should be like a transition, like maybe we can like find like a transition, like a clap or something to go into it. I don't know. I just feel like in my head I heard that. Okay, let's just hop right into it, into our 2 cents. Okay. So this one talks about, let's see. I caught my wife complaining about me to her friends. So it's very on topic. All right, here we
She in the
go.
wrong.
I oversaw a message on her phone when she was texting in which she said she was, quote unquote, so done with me, and said that I was extremely insecure. I confronted her about it and said I felt betrayed. She apologized and promised to never talk badly about me to her friends again. Following the incident, she changed the password on her phone and started taking it with her everywhere she went. I suspected she was still talking badly about me to her friends again, so I decided to trick her. I said that I had read what she was saying about me on our cell phone account online, which I couldn't. She looked like she had seen a ghost. I told her that I saw what she had been saying about me, about her friends, and she admitted it. I told her that I couldn't really read all of the messages and that I was very hurt by her behavior. I have real trust issues now because she still talks to those same friends and is very secretive with her phone. I can't forgive her and I feel shame every time I see these friends of hers. What should I do?
I don't know.
Right, because like we said like we said earlier, it's so uncomfortable when
Yeah.
you know something about
Right.
a friend's partner that you know they don't know about you. But now that he knows that she's been saying crap about him
Hmm.
to her friends, and he knows that he's probably had vulnerable moments with his wife and have said things to his wife, not knowing how she has
So how
interpreted
much
it.
about me do they know?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So now is he in a position where he should confront the friends and ask
I
the
mean, he's already
friends?
in a mental relationship with all of them. He's already in a mental relationship with all of them. They know more about him than they should ever know, right?
Yeah.
And granted, I understand the wife's standpoint of I have these issues with my husband. I need to confide with somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like again, like we were saying, has she even addressed these issues with him?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it clearly is he stated he understands that he's insecure, that he has insecurities, and
Mm-hmm.
so his wife knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this goes back to earlier when I was saying like he was vulnerable enough with his wife to tell her about his insecurities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now it gotten to the point to where his insecurities have weighed on her so much that she has to relay that to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't cool.
Yeah. Okay. So here's another one. This one is advice when your spouse gives you the silent treatment.
Oh, I just played Call of Duty.
My husband gives me the silent treatment when we have any kind of conflict, and it's usually when he disagrees with me or gets mad at me or I'm upset about a situation. We've been together for 13 years, and it's always been like this with any kind of conflict. Usually, after the fourth or fifth day of the silent treatment, I'm just begging him to talk to me. And I know this is awful, but 80%
Fourth
of
or fifth day?
and I know this is
Damn.
awful, but 80% of the time, it's because I tell him I'm just done with this, then he'll talk to me. We did separate last year for about 5 months. I told him I just couldn't handle this anymore and I was struggling with myself, but that's another story. So, whenever we got back together, Whenever we would have a conflict, he would shut down for a couple of hours and come back and talk to me. But now, after months, it's going back to the silent treatment. We're on day 4 of him giving me the silent treatment, and I don't know what to do anymore. We have 3 kids, and 2 of them are girls, and I'm just worried that I'm setting an example for the girls that it's okay to receive a silent treatment from their spouses. I guess what I'm asking is, spouses who give the silent treatment, what can I do to help him stop? Hold on. No,
I
hold
got to
on.
say.
I want to say this because did we not have an issue like this once before?
What was the issue?
When that you tried to give me the silent treatment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember this, but okay.
Okay. You don't remember when I told you you got no more times to give me the silent treatment? You don't remember that?
No.
Okay. Well, I do. I remember it
I
very
still give you
vividly.
silent treatment.
No,
Not no
no.
5 days in a row.
No, you don't give me silent treatment like that. So it's not that he doesn't talk to me at all. Like I know when he's just being short. Like he'll answer questions, he'll ask questions, but he will have like he'll
No,
have a
no,
moment
no.
where he
I
won't
won't even ask you questions.
where he won't where he just tries not to interact with me, or I know he's avoiding interacting with me, or like he'll walk past me and he doesn't like slap my butt or something.
Mhm.
Like I know when you're like giving the silent treatment. And I remember one time, this was probably like a year or two ago, I told you in the kitchen, I said you have 0 times to give me the
Oh,
silent treatment
okay.
one more time.
Did it work?
It did because you haven't behaved that way since.
Well, you've been behaving better.
Goodbye. Good damn bye. Say what you was gonna say, because I'm not doing this with you.
I will say this. One, I don't think you have anything to worry about with your daughters dealing with the silent treatment.
I
Right?
would disagree.
Right. I also would say from the man's perspective, he's trying to part of it is he's angry and he doesn't want to talk to you when he's angry because he doesn't want to say anything out of pocket
Could be.
or say something he
Say could
doesn't mean,
be.
right?
Right. Could be.
Right? And another part of it is it's his way. I don't want to say necessarily his way of getting back at you for what's going on, but it could just be his way of processing,
And
right?
getting back. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I guess she got the answer.
No, I'm just saying
You
it
ain't
could
got the
be.
answer, Sway.
Okay. But that's a real thing too with people shutting down. Like
Right.
maybe also like the disagreement and the conflict that you guys have, you're so you're so strong in the conviction of whatever it is the conflict is that it overpowers like his thought and reason that he just shuts down because he literally
Right.
doesn't have anything to
And
say.
have you ever thought about just maybe, like you said, he's shutting down because that's the only way he knows how to
To
deal
deal
with the
with
situation,
conflict.
right?
Right.
And he may shut down, and it may take him a couple days before he even revisits the conversation
Hmm.
to formulate how he actually feels and how to actually address what was said or what happened,
That could be some
right?
type of trauma
So,
response
right, it
that he's
could
had since a
it
child.
could be.
So that's
So
why I said when you said it's probably not impacting the children. That's why I said no, it actually could be impacting the children because this is the example that's being set. Kids can feel tension.
I would much rather have my daughter see me give you the silent treatment
Then beat me.
than to put my hands on you, right? Or to cheat on you. So
I feel like it's another form of abuse, but whatever.
if I go a couple days without talking to you to keep the peace, I think that's justified.
Okay, Gil.
That's my 2 cents.
That's his 2 cents. I love you.
Yeah, okay. I love that sweater you got on.
Thank you.
I'm gonna take it off later.
Anywho, if you haven't already, if you're not already following us on social media, you can follow us at Life After I Do Podcast on Facebook. You can follow us at Life After I Do Podcast on YouTube, Life After I Do Podcast on TikTok.
And Instagram.
Leave us a comment, tell your friends, tell your family. Follow if you have any questions or topics that you want to hear our opinion on. You can always reach out to us at lifeafteridopodcast@gmail.com. We'll be more than happy to listen to what you got to say. But until then, we will talk to you all next week.
And y'all tell my baby happy birthday in them comments.
Yes, and my birthday, January 3rd. So yeah, but Happy New Year. And and Merry Christmas because we didn't see y'all on Christmas.
Happy Mama year. Put some respect on Mama, man.
All right, guys. This has been another episode of Life After I Do podcast. And we will check in with you guys next week. Peace.
Peace, keys.